Good morning to those in the Pacific. Good afternoon to those in the East. You are at Live and Learn, and today we have a special guest, Vern. Um, I've been learning from Vern for the past 6 months, and I'm really excited to introduce you to him. Let me read you Vern's bio. Executive Performance Coach, Speaker Trainer. WEBB Group Leadership Development specializes in transformational and breakthrough training technologies in neuroscience. They generate excellence in executive performance coaching and leadership development. Vernon Webb has 35 plus years of experience, education, and commitment in the field of neuroscience. He earned the master's level of certification from the Institute of Psychoorientology and a degree in business administration from California State University, Northridge. Vern has led training programs in mindfulness and emotional intelligence for numerous companies and organizations, including AT&T, California State Bar Association, LA County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, KPMG, McDonald's, U.S. Air Force Space Division, U.S. Justice Department, and U.S. Treasury Department. He's been identified as a nationally recognized award-winning speaker and trainer who is occasionally featured on television, radio, and other media outlets. He is a member of City Club Los Angeles, a Club Corp private business club, and on the executive board of Governors. He chairs the Breakfast Club Speaker Series. The Silva Method International, a world-renowned mind development organization with programs taught in over 100 foreign countries and in more than 30 foreign languages, has deemed Vernon Webb as one of the top mind development trainers and speakers in the country. Hey, Vern.
Hi, Benita.
What I love on a cold, cold day where I'm wearing a wool sweater is having someone from LA in the house.
It's comfortable here. It really is. I'm enjoying the weather.
Oh, so nice. So, yeah. Um, where should we start, Vern? Where should we start?
Mm. We could start with how we met. That's the
Let's do
beginning.
that. Yeah, the beginning. So, I went to a LinkedIn local event during the pandemic, and this one was online, and it was hosted by Bruce Carnahan, the guy in the blue shirt.
I remember.
How did
There's
you
there's
come to be
something
at that?
about that. There's something about being able to connect with people. We've had to take connecting with people to a whole different level other than what we've been used to. We're so used to being able to go to events and meet people and shake hands. And as a result of the pandemic, everything has become virtual, even the people that we meet and slowly get to know. So it's made a real shift in how we interact with people. However, I will say that it gives us the opportunity to meet more people because it's just a matter of going from one virtual event to another virtual event that we could not have begun to have accomplished back in the days when everything was live. So it's an exciting time.
It really is. And I think what's really gonna like bring that home to me is when I get to meet you in 9 days in person.
It is so interesting to meet someone online, get to know them, have them become a client, but you've never met each other in person. And so in 9 days, I will have the opportunity to actually meet you in person. And I am stoked. I'm excited. I have some plans for us.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I can't wait to see. Um, the story you told me, the history you told me about the City Club
Hmm.
really struck a chord in me. And I think that, during Black History Month, it's something worth sharing. Um, because I didn't know that about the City Club. Like, it was just something that you mentioned. I knew you were a board member, but I didn't really know how it started or what it was about. Can you tell us?
I am very proud to be a member of City Club. It has its cornerstone based in diversity and inclusion. City Club was created or started back in roughly about 1973 when then Mayor Tom Bradley was, first the first black mayor in Los Angeles. And customary is that the private business clubs would extend a membership to the mayor, just as the fact that he is the mayor. Unfortunately, they didn't anticipate that they would have to deal with a black mayor. And so that courtesy was not extended to him. None of the private business clubs in Los Angeles extended the courtesy for him to become a mayor because they did not allow black people into their clubs. And so what Mayor Tom Bradley did was that he gathered some of his friends and supporters and said, we'll create our own club. And so that is where City Club came to be. It is an absolutely beautiful club. It is on the 51st floor of the Citibank Plaza in downtown Los Angeles. The view is spectacular. The food is 5 star, and the events are unbelievable. We just recently completed having our Super Bowl party up there, and it was awesome. So, City Club has become a very important part of my life, not only because I serve on several committees, I am a past chair of the Breakfast Club Speaker Series, the Ambassador Committee, Membership Committee, and of course, Business Alliance. So I have friends, I have clients. It is the place where I spend most of my time other than at home.
Right. It sure seems that way because, I mean, how many times have you been on your way or just came back from the City Club or at the City Club when I've had my coaching sessions? So,
It works out very well. We have private rooms that I can go in and sit down and have a coaching session with you and and share the view of City Club. But it is an awesome place, and I am very proud to be a member.
I love that. I love the story of the first Black mayor and um, the cornerstone and its foundations based in diversity and inclusion that way. Um,
Actually, one of the things that most people don't realize is that Tom Bradley was mayor for 20 years. That is the longest tenure of any mayor in Los Angeles history. He was a phenomenal mayor. And so his changes were sweeping, to say nothing of LAX. So we're very proud to have had him as a mayor, and we have a room at City Club called the Tom Bradley Room, which is like the pinnacle within the club. It is lovely.
oh my.
I'll be sure to show you.
I'm getting butterflies thinking about it. I love history. And yeah, no, I get butterflies going into museums and places where there's deep history. So that's exciting.
We do have that.
On the topic of, diversity, inclusion, I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that Channel 7 in LA had you on to speak during 2020, and, the times of when the protests surrounding George Floyd were going on.
Mhm.
Can you tell us like a little bit about um, that segment?
How it came to be, Benita, is that I'm a member of the African American Board Leadership Institute, which shows African Americans really, it's a training on how to sit on boards and commissions. And as a result of a webinar that I did for them, Channel 7 picked it up and said, "We'd like to interview you." And I, of course, was honored. And so they set it up. And the next thing I know, I was live on Channel 7. Their questions about what was going on during that time as it related to what was going on with George Floyd and the unrest. They asked me about my perspective in relation to mindfulness and emotional intelligence. And so I shared with them that mindfulness and emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role in allowing people to see themselves from a different perspective, and certainly for African Americans and all people of color to be able to have the opportunity to bring their gifts to the boardroom. And that diversity is what gives the entire board a totally different dimension in terms of how they can begin to manage their companies more successfully. I shared with them that mindfulness plays a pivotal role because it allows someone to mentally and emotionally step back and take a look at themselves and how they relate to the people around them. And that was what really caught their attention, because emotional intelligence is crucial to leadership. Those leaders who are most successful really have higher emotional intelligence than others. It's been interesting because more and more corporations are being involved with teaching their leaders emotional intelligence, if for no other reason than research shows that those people who have higher emotional intelligence perform better, period. End of story. And that really was all corporate America needed to know. Emotional intelligence, higher performance. Let's get some emotional intelligence in here. And so, one after another, more and more people, more and more corporations are in fact being involved in both mindfulness and emotional intelligence, and their organizations are benefiting as a result of it.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of our talks when I'd met you from the very beginning, and how you showed me the kind of like the timeline of corporate America and its view on emotional intelligence. I mean, you know, I guess back in like, the 1970s, it was less accepted, but it was like a groundbreaking idea. And now it's,
It's interesting because what really started its entree of meditation into popular culture is Time magazine. Time magazine, on its cover, talked about the science of meditation. Now, Time magazine does not put anything on its cover and devote 8 pages to it unless it has thoroughly vetted the topic matter. And so Time Magazine took a real deep dive into why meditation is important and what are the benefits. And corporate America said, sounds pretty good, but it's still meditation. It's a little too Eastern for us. And so they couldn't quite wrap their heads around it, even though so many performers, entertainers, and successful people were meditating and were stepping up and saying, I meditate. These are the these are the changes that have come in me, and I'm happy to continue my meditation. Then fast forward about 9 years from there, and once again, Time Magazine had on its cover the mindfulness revolution. And corporate America began to study that, and they said, okay, this we can wrap our heads around. And so they started introducing mindfulness to their organizations, and we're beginning to see the many benefits that it offered. That, coupled with emotional intelligence, has changed the way that so many people think and act and perform in their jobs.
Huge. I remember when I was in corporate Canada, um,
Okay.
I looked over at, the leaders, directors, and people in the C-suite that were receiving performance coaching. They had a coach. They had a coach to help them learn how to be a leader, to learn how to lead people, to learn how to manage people. And I was like, wow, that's like I think that's the only way I would want to be a manager of people, is if I had the training. And so I'd gotten that back then, before I could afford a performance coach on my own, or before I, really thought that
Yeah.
this was the way to go to get to the next level in my career or my business. But I thought, oh, that's just for somebody that, has a big corporation behind them and is going to pay for it. You know what I mean?
When you think about it, Benita, when you look at all of the people who have been very successful in sports, every last one of them, from LeBron James to Michael Jordan, they all had a coach.
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods had his coach, because a coach allows you to see something that you might not normally see. And they say, instead of doing this, do that. And you go, really? They go, yeah. Instead of doing that, do that, and your performance will be better. And they follow the coach's advice, and of course, their performance improves. But I think one of the things that really caught my attention was that I learned that Warren Buffett had a coach. And I'm like, what the hell does Warren Buffett need with a coach? But he has one, and he works with his coach. So if someone like Warren Buffett, who is just so very successful, I mean, it's not like he needs a coach so he can make money, because that's not a problem for him. But in his mind, it's about being better. It's about improving and being willing to make the investment for those improvements. And so more and more people now are turning to executive coaching so that they can take their businesses and their careers to the next level, to be able to listen to someone who can help you see something that you might not necessarily see, and begin to show you how you can take advantage of that skill. You've got the skills, like yourself, Benita, you've got the skills. You just need a little bit of guidance, some things you need to see that you weren't seeing before. And that's my job to point that out to you.
And I like that. I mean, and it's an art and a skill for somebody to point out something to you, to call me on my shit.
Yep. That's exactly what I do.
Politely,
with love.
gently and productively. Yeah, it's a real art, and so um, finding that is, as hard as finding, um, a best friend, a psychiatrist, somebody that has that certain chemistry in my mind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's when you're good at it. I have two superpowers, one of which is listening. I listen very, very well. And I will hear you say things that you just kind of run by. And then when you're finished, I'll ask you, say, let's go back a second because you said this. You may want to look at this a little bit differently because that kind of thinking is going to create a program in your subconscious mind that is going to hold you back. I don't think that's what you want. You're like, no. I said, well, then you might want to rephrase that to this and use that also as a part of your meditations. But being able to do that, my my second superpower outside of listening is being able to ask good questions. And the questions that I am able to share with you are questions that are very insightful, those that make you kind of step back mentally and emotionally and go, I didn't know that. I said, yeah, you might want to consider that. And I'll take it as far back as when you were younger and something about your culture that may have been told to you that you accepted as being true and you didn't realize the impact that it had on you. Well, at that time, you didn't think anything about it, but your subconscious mind held on to that information. And so now it is something that you carry with you. And if it's something that is less than positive, it is something that's powerful enough to hold you back. And it's interesting
Okay.
because when I talk to people and I ask them, I said, have you ever had the feeling as though you were being held back? And I get two answers. One answer is, I don't know why I hold myself back. And I go, mm-hmm. And then the other answer is, yeah, it's fear. I said, now that we can talk about, that we can work on. And once people realize that it is fear that holds them back, then we start really kind of drilling down into where the fears came from, identify them, and then creating the necessary mental program to minimize, if not even eliminate, the fear altogether. And that's where that aha moment comes. And that I love.
Right. I mean, like one very specific example that I would like to share is, when we talk about um, Asian women. So, Asian women are, we all know about like stories of in China where they throw the girl babies in the river because the girl babies can't, uh, bring forward the name of the family, and boys, like Asian boys, are just so much more celebrated and spoiled and put on a pedestal that if you came from a family that you were a girl, it's like none of your needs were quite as important as um, your brothers, or you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a real aha moment when I shared that with you. And
I remember.
mm-hmm,
You were you were told or you were made to feel less than.
mm-hmm,
And even while that happened within the, let's say, the first 8 years, that's something that your subconscious mind had held on to, that you are less than and that you're not worthy. And you have taken that through all of your life, that you're less than and you're not worthy. And there were opportunities that were presented to you. And rather than moving forward, because had you been a boy, you'd have been taught that that's what you do. As a girl, you're less than. you're not worthy. So, you just be quiet and step back. And I'm like, oh no, we cannot have that for you. You've got a business to grow. So here is where you need to make some changes to the way that you're thinking and begin to communicate with your subconscious mind that that belief is no more. And the new belief is you are powerful and that there is nothing that you cannot do. And it is because of those types of lessons that your business is going to be growing more and more. And you will become more and more successful just by changing the way that you're thinking.
Huge. Yeah, no, it's weird, but these seem like really simple concepts to grasp when we talk about them.
Mhm.
But then it's like, well, why haven't I tried to change this for all these years?
It's if it were easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
All right. If you say, oh, well, I just have to change the way I think. Okay, I'll just change the way I think. It doesn't work that way with the subconscious mind because the subconscious mind wants to keep you where you are. As
Mm-hmm.
far as the subconscious mind is concerned, anything that talks about change is dangerous and it wants to make sure that you stay safe. Every thought that you have is filtered through your belief system, which is located in your subconscious mind. And as long as it agrees with what is there, then you become aware of it as a thought and you will act on it. But as soon as you come up with something that's different, then the subconscious mind will give you all kinds of reasons and excuses not to do it and to just stay where you are. You're all right. Don't worry about it. You know, you'll be okay and you'll stay where you are and you will not grow even though you say, but I want to grow. I want to really become more successful. I want to make more money. And right. And you just stay where you are. All right. Just stay in
Mm-hmm.
your little area, stay in your lane. I saw something one time that said women who behave themselves don't make history.
Huge. Huge.
As
Yeah.
as as one of those drop the mic kind of situation. Boom. That takes care of that. So much for behaving myself.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I think that that is the reason that all sorts of business owners or first time entrepreneurs or people that fail or people that are just starting out. I mean, I remember when I was just starting out, it was 5 years ago, and I still remember how fearful I was because every single day it was something new, something out of my element,
Mhm.
something I'd never done before. Like incorporate a company, go and get my own accountant, talk to customers that I would want to have, under my protection,
Mhm.
go and try to get my own business and not have my business come to my desk, call my own meetings. All these little things were out of my element because previous to that, these things were all arranged for me under some multinational corporate umbrella.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. You use the word fear,
Hmm.
and fear is a negative expectation, which means that when you fear something, you're expecting something bad to happen. There are only two fears that are natural. One is the fear of loud noises, and the other is the fear of falling. Every other fear that we have, we've learned. That's the bad news. The good news is if you've learned it, you can unlearn it. And that's where mindfulness and emotional intelligence step in so that you can figure out what is it that I'm afraid of. And a lot of people don't want to even look at that possibility. Well, what am I afraid of? And certainly men, well, I'm not afraid of anything. Horse pucky, you got all kinds of fears. And the sooner that you acknowledge those fears, and what really makes it impactful is when you're willing to write it down. Because when you're willing to write down, I am afraid of this, I am afraid of that, I'm afraid of meeting new people, I'm afraid of making a fool of myself. What if people laugh at me? What if I say something dumb? And that begins to strike at your ego. You don't want to feel bad, you don't want to look dumb. So rather than moving forward and taking a chance, you step back and you stay quiet. Well, that's not how you grow and develop, but it's safe. And some people would rather
Right.
play it safe than to step out, take a chance that maybe they'll say something dumb, because Lord knows I've said some things that were very dumb in my life. But you know what? That's how I learned. And I'm willing to
Hmm.
take the hit for that. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's that fear of feeling uncomfortable or that discomfort
Hmm.
that really makes us shrink. And in the past couple of years, and especially in the last 6 months, I've learned that when I get that feeling, I meditate, I talk to supportive people, I tell my coach honestly what those feelings are.
Hmm.
And then there's something about knowing that I'm supported, knowing that I'm going to fall, but there's going to be people to help pick me up.
Absolutely. I enjoy reminding you, I got your back.
Yes. And see, like every time you say that, I'm like, whatever. I got Vern, or I
I
got
got your
Chris, or
back.
I got Penny, or I got Kelly, or I got Jose. I got somebody.
You have got so many people that are a part of your network that are rooting for you, Benita. They want to see you succeed, and they are there just like I am. They've got your back. They want to see you become successful. They want to see you succeed. So but that's your energy. You draw people to you who are going to support you. Are there going to be some people that might want to try and hold you back? There might be a few, but they won't last long. They won't spend much time around you when they see the kind of support you have that are looking out for you. It's, find somebody else. Not here.
So true. And I am so grateful for that. Like a deep sense of gratitude when I think about that. I guess one of my superpowers is having others be heard, others that
Mhm.
might not be heard, and bringing them to light. So, a lot of what I think that I have is just leading through example, you know?
That is true. And that is something that I thank you for, Benita, because you have gone out of your way to introduce me to your network, which has been just an absolutely fantastic group of people. And I have learned so much from them. The virtual book club that you host, and the books that we're reviewing, most recently, Atomic Habits, which I thought was just phenomenal. It has given me a different perspective on habits. And in the years that I have been in this field, I know something about habits, but that has given me a different perspective to make me an even better coach. So I appreciate that from you. But spending
Wow.
time with your friends and your network, they've embraced me uh, as though I've always been there. And so, Rob and Kelly and Chris, uh, Sheree, all great people. And I thank you for giving me access to your network.
Oh my goodness. And that's funny because that's what they say about you. And what an honor that it is to think that someone that coaches me also receives benefit from me as well. Like,
Oh yeah. It
yeah.
is, it's what makes me a good coach
Mm-hmm.
because I get my lessons where I can. Sometimes they're in a book, sometimes they're in a lecture, and sometimes they're about having conversations with somebody on Live and Learn, to say nothing of a book club. So, yes, pick up those lessons wherever you can.
Right. Yeah, no. I loved how you watched the interview with Moji Tao a couple of weeks ago.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, if I could, I would introduce you to her as well. I hope you followed her.
I have started following her, as a matter of fact.
Oh, good. I want to bring up something that someone said about you on your LinkedIn profile. So I hope that my internet holds. Will you tell me it if I start breaking up?
Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, um, like I just love what Sam Osborne had to say.
Oh, Samuel Osborne, that's my guy.
Yeah.
He is phenomenal. He really is.
Um, whew,
The way he covers the imposter syndrome, if you ever get an opportunity, and I would say this to you and to all of the people in your network, you get an opportunity to spend some time listening to Samuel Osborne. He is the guy. He really is.
well, yeah, he worked with you on the same team. He's an international speaker as well, and he helps performers and artists. Vernon is a walking, talking tidal wave of impact and influence. We sat on a panel as a guest speakers at the Multicultural Networking Lunch at City Club LA, where the topic was Ignite Your Passion and Your Business. Vernon paints a picture so vivid in your mind that you just want to listen closer to what he has to say. A great speaker to work with.
Yeah.
Do you
As
remember? Do you remember
yes,
that conversation? Ignite your passion and your business.
yes. It was a time when I was one of several speakers. And it's interesting when you're a speaker going on with other speakers, and when you can just kind of pull a pearl or two from something that they've shared to incorporate in what you're speaking, helps tie the whole program together. And Samuel Osborne was dropping pearl after pearl, and I was steadily picking them up. So, I take my hat off to him.
I like how you use pearls instead of gold nuggets. I think I'm going to start using pearls.
It's, I pay attention when people are speaking. And when someone just kind of drops a pearl that you go, whoa, that was good. I like that. Let me jot that, and I make a note of it and review it a little bit later. But people that I spend time with oftentimes are dropping pearls left and right. And that's, again, what I get from spending time with you and your network in the virtual book club. Rob Berry may drop a pearl. Chris may
Harold
drop a
Barron.
pearl. I just I like spending time around smart people.
Me too.
And so those are the kind of people that I want to spend time with, and I enjoy it. Marilyn will drop a pearl. I'm like, okay, I got it. I just,
She's a wise
Harold
woman.
drops a pearl. I'm go, okay.
Well, I love that one conversation that you and I had where you saw the pile of pearls in front of me and you said to me, some people might not see the connections, but as you put each pearl on the string and you string your pearls together
Yeah.
and then you hang your pearls around your neck, people are going to be like, oh, I get that pattern now. Because, I mean, it is something about me that I try to string together seemingly unconnected things.
Hmm.
And then it's not till much later that people recognize. And it's that getting through that phase where people are like, what are you talking about, woman? That I've always needed help and support with. So when he talks about you putting vivid imagery in the mind's eye, I'm just like, yeah, that's Vern.
Being able to see the value of something that before you would not have seen. I will tell my clients, let's step back a minute. Let's take another look at this because there's something you're missing here. And when I can explain it from a different perspective, that's when the aha moment comes in. They go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. I'm like, you need to think about that. That's going to have some real impact to what you do moving forward. And so when you can change a person's way of thinking to the point where they see and become empowered with who they are and what's possible, that's when it really becomes awesome.
I only regret that I hadn't met you sooner, Vern. There was a time in my career where I was dealing with Russian sanctions, um, voluntary disclosures to the US government regarding transactions that might not have been so clean.
Mm.
And I was suffering from acid reflux
Ooh.
and IBS at the
Ooh.
same time. And I remember my leader, my manager, asking me at the time, like, we're going to send you to Washington, D.C., and you're just going to find out. You're just going to find out what we need to do. I was like, he's like, what do you need? I was like, I need a psychiatrist. I need some therapy. I need a doctor.
the the things that we have to experience and how we see them, the mind body connection is not to be discarded because many of the problems that we have physically in our body are related to what we think and believe, and we'll see those things over and over again. And when you start realizing that people know how to push your buttons, they know, and the people that you need to be really mindful about are not necessarily strangers. The people you have to keep a real close eye on are your loved ones because
Oh,
they know how to press your buttons. They know
right.
what to say that's going to cause you to get angry. And so whenever you don't do what they want you to do, they'll say, that's all right. I know how to get you. And they'll press one of those buttons. And then you'll like fly off in a whole different direction. And they'll sit up there and kind of giggle. I learned that from my mother, actually. I know, I kid you not.
Of
My
course.
I was at my mother's. I was visiting her, and my brothers. I had two younger brothers, and they were just coming in. And my mother kind of nudged me a little bit. She said, "Watch this, watch this." And she said something to one of them, and he flew. Oh, why do I get you? And she stood up there and just and laughed and everything. But what I walked away from was, if she could do that to them, how many times has she done that to me? And I'm like, oh no, I need to think about this. I need to deal with this because you need to know people can press your buttons if you let them,
If you
only
let
if you let them. That's what makes a difference.
So true. And yeah, you're right. Most of the time, we're not aware of it when it's happening.
No, no, we're not. It's just something that happens and you deal with it and you try to keep moving on. But at some point in time, if things are too wrong, your body will tell you you need to make some changes, and it will make you make some changes. When you find out that it starts shutting down processes and all of a sudden you can't get up, you can't function, the next thing you know, you need to be taken to the doctor. The doctor says, we need to take you to the hospital, all because of what you think and believe to be true that is so very, very counterproductive. So you need to be thinking about what it is that causes you to feel a certain way and begin to do what you need to do in order to eliminate it.
Huge, huge. Um, During the pandemic, and I mean, even until now, like you've been saying to me, this digital thing, this virtual thing is not going away, Benita. Um,
Yeah.
how do you how do you continue to, you know, run your own business? How is what's changed with the clients and um, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Like many people, Benita, the pandemic threw me for a loop. At one point in time prior to the pandemic, I was coaching people one on one in person. And I knew that at some point in time I was, thinking about going online and spending more time online. Well, the pandemic made that happen quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so I had to, as they say, pivot so that I could continue doing my business. But it was so new, something I was just absolutely unaware of. I'm used to being in front of groups of people, crowds of people. I give them energy, they give me energy back. I give them more energy, they give me energy back. And that was the way that we were rocking and rolling during the time I was speaking. Now I'm sitting up here talking to a phone, and I've got to show that same kind of energy talking to a phone. So I had to really kind of get inside of my head and make some changes because I realized that this was going to be something totally different. And because we as human beings are so hardwired, you've heard me say this, not to change, to stay with doing what we're doing, I had to work a little bit harder to make sure that I could make that happen. But I found that really it is what has allowed my business to grow at an accelerated pace because I can reach out and talk to more people in less time. It's just a matter of being used to doing it virtually like this. But it has worked out very well for me. But it was a change. It really was a change, but a good change. I just had to wrap my head around it so that I could move forward with it.
Yeah, I remember a lot of speakers saying that it was the energy that you
Hmm.
get from being in the same room.
Absolutely.
Is there an energy you can get from seeing someone online?
My first response to you is yes. I have found also over the years to pay closer attention to body language because so much of our communication is nonverbal. The words are maybe 7%. The rest of it is nonverbal. And being able to communicate with someone, now I can only see you from maybe here down. I can see here up. What's happening with your hands? What's happening with your feet? Uh, I have no idea. So I'm losing out on some of that. But some of what I do get are the way that your eyes move, and I've started paying even closer attention to what are called micro expressions, which are things that your face does that you aren't even aware of. And so that gives me information.
Oh,
And your tonality.
highly I'm aware of my micro expressions. I think that's part of the reason why I didn't like seeing myself on camera or in pictures before.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. I'm uh, I'm not big on what I think I look like. Hear what I said. I'm not big on what I think I look like when I'm on camera. The feedback from other people is different. And I'm quite thankful that it is more positive. So I've had to learn, hear me, I've had to learn to be more accepting of myself when I see me on camera. And so I'm working in that direction. And pretty soon people will see more and more of me on camera.
I love it. Well, thank you for, you know, helping me to get on camera. I mean, a lot of the work that we've done has led me to this place. And more, I feel comfortable in spaces where I didn't feel comfortable before.
Mm, good.
And yeah, you're one of the people I have to thank for that. So,
Happy. Happy to be there for you.
so there you have it, Vernon Webb. If you would like to see, you need to follow Vernon Webb um, on LinkedIn if you're not doing that already.
Please do.
And you have a website as well, don't you?
Webgroupleadership.com. So those are the two places that you can catch me. But touch bases with me on LinkedIn. Let's connect. We can have a 15-minute chat, find out if what I do makes sense for you, if it's a fit for you. And I can take a no as graciously as a yes, because I figure the worst case scenario, I've made a new friend. And I am always up for doing that.
Right. So, um, yeah, check out Vern's um, LinkedIn profile, and then you'll find this article from Black History Month, the Eyewitness News Channel 7, leadership during a pandemic. Um, and what is AABLI?
African American Board Leadership Institute.
Right. Six.
They're the ones who took me through a thorough training of how to sit on a board, and it has been very helpful to me, certainly as I'm sitting on the uh, board of governors with City Club. And when other people talk to me about the boards that they're sitting on, I know the kinds of questions to ask them to give them insight that will be beneficial for them when they're sitting on boards.
I love that because, like, how many of us are out there, maybe in late career, or you've been through corporate America and you've been in the C-suite and you want to move into boards, but I mean that's a new step for people, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. But sitting on a board is where you are actually able to facilitate change, because that is where the decisions are made. The key decisions in so many different organizations are made at the board level. And having a diverse board is what brings a flavor, if you will, and an insight that not having people of color on there, you would be missing as an organization. So it's one of the benefits of having a very diverse board.
I like that. And I'm going to be looking out for that.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be looking out for you at LAX.
Looking forward to it. I will pick you up. The chair of the International Committee is excited about meeting you for their reception. So that and dinner and a tour of City Club. We're going to have a great evening.
Please tell them that I am looking forward to it,
I will.
and I'll likely talk to you before then. But
Yes.
goodbye to the audience. Thanks so much for coming. If you're watching this on the replay, remember to tell us where you're from. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Have a great afternoon.
Bye.